you have to start being smarter than your smart technology so you can live healthier in a digital age. 20 minutes a day, that's it. Over a 10-year period, you have a 40% chance of getting a brain tumor. We are the same as our Earth. We are, one connected, unified source of energy that's, we're giving and receiving, exchanging constantly with that heartbeat, just like the tides ebb and flow, the sun sets and, rises. And, it's a complete cycle.
All right, welcome to the New Age Human Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Astasio. Today, we're talking with Sherinata Pollock. It's interesting because her journey starts with losing her husband, unfortunately, to brain cancer, and then surviving a brain tumor herself. She's the founder and CEO of Corellia Creations. She pretty much went on a mission to educate people about this passion, about the dangers of 5G and wireless technology. So, with that said, Sherinata, thank you for coming on the show. Appreciate you. How's it going?
Everything's great. It was such a pleasure meeting you at PodFest, and we definitely hit it off and had a good time talking about EMF, technology, radiation, and all those different products that are out there, because I think that you're kind of surprised with it, some of it.
Yeah, I've gone down the rabbit hole of EMFs and radiation, and I've had my share of challenges. So it was pretty cool to connect with you at PodFest. And for anybody that's listening, PodFest is like an expo for content creators and podcasters, obviously. And we connected through the little community that we're part of, and mutual friends. And we had an interesting conversation. We're going to get into the muscle test that you did and the products that you were working with and some shocking revelations. But before we get into that, I want to dive into your experience getting into this. Like, I'm sure you weren't always doing what you're doing right now. Was what you're offering now the immediate go-to when you had that issue with just dealing with a brain tumor and losing your husband? Like, how did that transition happen?
Well, when I was, it's been actually, this will be 3 years just within like the last couple of days that I actually had the emergency brain tumor surgery. And the funny thing is like, I have been speaking about EMF protection and letting people understand it and know about it since 2013. So it's not like, it was actually a precursor, me speaking about it, which is we're not waiting to have the brain tumor, then talk about it. So, and it kind of came to light because I was actually having headaches and feeling lethargy in my office. And I was life coaching at the time and doing a lot of energy healing and working with people one-on-one. And I was always doing, Facebook Live. So I had just finished building like 2 years prior to that, a brand new home office. That's not this one. And in there, of course, was all the latest technology. And I had my Wi-Fi router in there, and I had my monitors, and I had my cordless phone, which I thought was healthier. And I'm like, I'm like decked out here. This is awesome, right? With the printer, wireless printer and stuff. But I didn't have any idea prior to 2013 that this was affecting my body. Now, when I started getting the lethargy, that's when I realized like something's wrong. And somebody said to me, they're like, and I would never get headaches. I'm not a headache type person or migraines or anything. And somebody said to me, they're like, you might be full of radiation. I'm like, what are you talking about? So she gives me this Shungite, and literally within 3 days it was gone, like completely. I'm like, I felt 100% better on my pain, my aches, and everything.
You got exposed to Shungite. How did you wear it? Did you put it on your head?
She gave me a rock. She says, here, use this rock, put it next to your computer so it neutralizes the radiation at your computer. And then she gave me something to wear. So when to protect my field here, that like just to help to cleanse what radiation have in my body, and then to neutralize it and give me a healthier, energy field as well as neutralizing right there. And it did take 3 days, and literally, I couldn't believe, like, all of a sudden I just felt better. It was shocking. And so that's when I said, oh my gosh, everybody needs to know about this, because let's roll it back to, yes, my first husband passed away with a glioblastoma, which is the most deadliest brain tumor you could possibly get. The thing is that was in 1998, and he was 1999. I'm sorry. He was an electrician. And I had found, which I didn't realize, so like within just a couple months, he was diagnosed and he passed away, leaving me
Wow.
with my,
Wow.
yeah, it was horrible. And the thing is, like, I had my 1-year-old son at the time. I didn't understand what was going on. Nobody, you don't prepare for this stuff, right? So you kind of just like gotta go with the flow and deal with it. Well, when I found out about EMFs and I was having my own issues and the radiation and the Shungite and everything, I started researching it when I realized everybody needs this because I'm a life coach. All my clients need this because I'm feeling better because I don't want what happened to me to happen to my children and to everybody else. So as I start researching it, that's when I found out that electricians literally, they had the highest back then in the 90s, the highest rate of glioblastoma brain tumors than any
Specific.
other than any other occupation because of what they're working around.
Mm.
So, and that is literally one of the number one killers for children of cancers from 0 to 18 years old now.
Oof.
And there's still not a cure. And literally, like, there's no cure for it. It's ridiculous. And it was unheard of for children to have glios back then. You just heard of leukemia, and different issues, but you never heard of these brain cancers that are coming out all over the place.
Mm.
And we think about it, it's like testicular cancer, youngest ages ever, sperm counts, the lowest ever. Where were we putting our cell phones? So this is something to really, really think about. All of our reproductive organs, even for girls too. And rectal cancer, youngest ever. Where are we putting our cell phones? In our back
Mm.
pockets.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to think about where we're in front of the computers all the time, our brains, the kids growing up, it's a myriad of compounded situations that are happening that, you know what? And if anybody just goes on the internet, you're gonna find all these studies from big corporations
Mm-hmm.
that it's okay. There's nothing wrong with this because it's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. And we need to dig deeper underneath the surface and go to the websites where they're run by scientists and doctors that do care and are doing the right research, that are not funded by these billion-dollar companies.
Yeah, and that's the key. A lot of us, when very few people do the research, and then when you do the research, look into the funding, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you can easily hire someone to prove that you're right. Just skew it my way and just share the positives, not the negatives.
So the most important thing I have to say is, don't ever put your Wi-Fi router in your home office. Don't ever put it in your bedroom. Don't ever, put it somewhere where it's furthest away from you in your personal space, your children, your pets. Put it in a closet if you can, in the garage if you can, wherever it is. Or even if it's in a media center, like where your TV is, which is the main area, because at least you're sitting 8 to 10 feet most people sit 6 to 10 feet from their TV.
TV, yeah.
So, and make sure that your bed, if it's on the other side of the media center and from the living room or wherever you're watching TV, that your bed is on the opposite side of that wall,
Mm.
because you don't want to have your head against where the router is, because it literally will affect your brain, your sleeping patterns. And if you can, make sure you shut it off at night, because many people do that as well. So, that's something to think about. There's many, many things that we want to think about doing, even just making sure that if you have wherever your electrical meter is at, make sure it's not on, when it's outside, that it's not against your wall where you're sleeping or somebody else in your home, because you want to make sure because that will definitely be affecting you as well, because it's going to come right through the wall, all the smart meters.
And I don't know if you mentioned it yet, but what was your home office setup before? Because you said that that was heavily related to what you guys discovered, where you obviously had a router in your home office, but usually people leave their home office and then do their own thing.
Right. I forgot about that part. Yeah. And I had it Okay, so when we have our home offices, we need to find the best place for them. At that point in time, I had kids running around the house. They were little, and I had an office that was outside in the main area. I needed a quiet space. So where was my quiet space? It was off my bedroom. How many people have offices in their bedrooms or a place right off of their bedroom? Many, many people do. So I actually had, that's where mine was. And then I had my Wi Fi router in there. So not only was I working in my office 6 to 8 hours a day, then I was sleeping and off of my office 6 to 8 hours a night. So I was getting affected by it at all times.
That's
And my
insane.
body never, ever had a break.
And I think that's huge to mention. I wanted to make sure,
Thanks for reminding me. Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to make sure you highlighted that because there's a lot of us that have a home office nowadays. A lot of people working from home in their careers, right? You're working remote, and yeah, if you're limited on space, most there's many people in apartments, right? And you got like your bedroom, the kitchen, and sometimes the bedroom is the living room. And so the living room has the router right there and then the bed. So like you said, for your specific situation, you had no break
Mm-mm.
at all. So I definitely wanted to highlight that.
Yes. And did I
Yeah,
mention on this one already, or was when we had got
right.
cut off before? I don't remember about the statistic with the on the phone. Was that on this one?
I
The
don't think we
statistics.
went over that. Go over that statistic.
Okay. So when I had the biopsy, it was growing. We found out it was growing at an 18% growth rate. So when we rolled it back in time, then we realized that literally was the time because that was in 2021. So that was going back to, 2011 when I built my home office. So the statistic says that if you're on a phone for 20 minutes a day, holding a phone to your ear, just talking on it 20 minutes a day, that's it, over a 10-year period on a wireless cell phone, you have a 40% chance of getting a brain tumor.
That's insane.
So my whole point is, wait a minute. Oh my God, that was like practically a statistic because it literally took about 10 years for that brain tumor to grow, which is disgusting. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about what I do because, with my first husband passing away with the glio, and then, electricians, having the highest rate of brain tumors per occupation. And then back then, before we even had all the electronics we do now, then fast forwarding to now with what I had, I believe that, we all come in this world for a purpose, a higher purpose. Sure, I understand energy. I'm a life coach. I know I'm really good at that. But for right now, it's really important to spread this message and let people know and then to have solutions for them because I think that's the most important thing is to do things at home so you can, neutralize the radiation. I'd like to say it's not a one size fits all situation either because you have people who live, you have kids, no kids, no pets, you have, suburbs,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
have people living in the country, you have everything, cities, like you said, townhouses and buildings. So everybody's got a different situation, and at some point, and oftentimes we can't even leave home without it because 5G is everywhere. So we just want to think, just like a seatbelt, putting it on before you get in the car, just like with the, I always say, you're not going to send your kids away to college without any condoms. You're going to do the same thing with this. You know, that's it, man. Mama Bear's got to come out and you're going to say, you know what? You have to start being smarter than your smart technology so you can live healthier in a digital age because it is by no surprise that all these things are coming up in our bodies.
Yeah, and we're
And
we're coming up to that part where more people than ever have access to a lot of this technology, and so it does seem like the long-term effects, that 10-year marker, right, is starting to rear its ugly head. And thankfully, you are helping people, yeah, helping educate people, and at the same time offering a solution because you can educate until your face turns red or blue, whatever color, and
yeah,
then not have a solution. That would suck.
Exactly. I totally feel the same way. You have to have some solutions and point people in the right direction because it can be very overwhelming. And so people always ask me, where's the first place to start? How do I get started? I said, well, here's my solutions to get started, but there's a myriad of ways to get started. So, my solutions are, I point people in this one direction, but there's, go outside. I always tell people, go outside and get some fresh air and ground your feet in the grass, roll it around in it like a dog if you have to, play with your kids and, just really, but how often are we walking barefoot in the grass for 20 minutes a day, we're not. And, Epsom salt baths are great. People who
Interesting.
swim all the time in the ocean they have a very high resistance to EMF radiation because
Really?
because of the minerals, the salt is always, cleansing through the body. And we need those minerals. And the EMF, I am not a nutritionist. However, I do know that it definitely pulls out the minerals from your body. It strips it because of it does so many things with our melatonin and our hormones. And it's very complex what it does.
Yeah. It's interesting what you're saying about the salt water and how that helps, which I don't think I've heard that. So thank you for that. Because I've gone down the rabbit hole and I haven't heard about the salt, and that's an interesting thing, especially if you live near the ocean or the sound. I'm actually hesitant to go into the water nearby here because it's the Long Island Sound, and I don't want to come out with like a third arm. We joke around
No,
about that. If I'm gonna
that's
go in
true.
there, I'm gonna go in there,
Oh.
real like nice little dip, and then I'm out.
No,
But
no.
barefoot on the sand is great. The hiking, hugging
Mm,
trees.
it's true because, it all comes back to we need to the the radiation that's coming from our technology is not the same as the energy in our body.
Mm,
We are the same as our earth. We are, one connected, unified source of energy that's, we're giving and receiving, exchanging constantly with that heartbeat, just like the tides ebb and flow, the sun sets and, rises. And, it's a complete cycle. And we know that we are so connected to our earth. Yet, electronics are not at all. And it's a disruptive field. It's a chaotic field. And that's why it creates, a fight or flight, when we're watching so much of it and our eyes are getting, fixated with the blue light and we can't go to sleep, so messing up our circadian rhythms. And, it's throwing our entire bodies out of balance as well as, free radicals that are flowing through our bodies and stripping our bodies of nutrients and creating cellular, destruction within the body. So in our organs and things like that. So it's really, really important for us to really be aware of what we're doing and take a lot of just start going in the direction of living healthier in the digital
yeah.
age with what you can do.
So talking about the natural solutions, Shungite, what is going on with that? I'm for those that have never heard of it. Could you break down what that is and how that works?
Okay. So my husband actually said something funny to me today. He goes, remember when a while ago, so I have been remarried for, many years now. And, but he's seen me on the whole path. And he's like, remember when you first started into Shungite? And there was something funny that I was talking about it with. And we were like, you get on one of your rants, you just get fixated on and you go from one thought to another. And we're like, it's Shungite, right? And we're like, it's like, perfect for your body and it's like breaking boards and it's I don't know, we got into this whole martial arts conversation with it. We're like, it's Shungite. Shungite. Anyway, so I think that as serious as a topic this is, you have to take everything in stride and like we said, not get overwhelmed because we still have to live our lives and do the best that we can do and be have fun with it. Shungite.
That's
Anyway, so
funny.
Shungite is very, very powerful, and it is it creates its own, it has its own electrical field. It carries something called a carbon 60 molecule, the C60. And there's, you can do the research on C60. There's so much behind it. And I can get into that, but we don't have time for that. But I can name drop like Buckminster Fuller, the fullerene, the buckyball. That's all C60 molecule. The
Mm,
Epcot ball, that's at Epcot, that you see the big one at Disney.
mm.
That is based on the C60 molecule. So this is nothing new. But they also call it the molecule of 21st century for a reason, because it's a renewable type of cellular energy that renews itself constantly. So what they do is they actually, in science, they create that in science because they know how valuable and how powerful it is. Yet it is found naturally only in Shungite. Shungite. And so anyway, and that's the power behind it. So that C60 molecule creates our bodies come back to perfection, to 0 point. The Schumann resonance of our planet, going back to that heartbeat again, like I was telling you about, right?
Okay.
So I'm going to show you an example of why it works so powerfully. Okay, so when we use shungite on our bodies, remember when I told you it eliminated my headaches,
Yeah.
right? Because it eliminates pain, because it brings everything back to source again. It's like energy healing on the body. Okay. So here's the pyramid. I love these pyramids because they're really beautiful and they can be used as weapons, but just kidding. But they can be, I guess. But I do believe that everybody should have a pyramid of shungite by their bedside or at their computer. Okay. Now, that shungite, which is the same thing in my beads here on the bracelets or what I'm wearing here. Okay. Here's just a regular old flashlight. Okay. You can
Okay.
see it's on,
So
right?
for anybody listening, she's got a flashlight.
Yes. And let's see. There, you can see
Okay,
it's
there it
on.
is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, when I take out the conductor, it's not going to work, right? Here's the conductor. This is not a magical flashlight. Okay. The batteries are still in there. It doesn't work, right?
Okay.
Now, if I take this pyramid or any type of shungite and I put it next to it, it's
Oh
going to
wow.
work.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because it carries its own electrical field. And that is what is so powerful. I can take my beads off. It'll do the same thing.
Oh wow. So you're touching the you're closing the circuit with shungite basically, and the flashlight's
Mm-hmm.
going on.
Exactly.
So it's a great conductor.
Yep. And so because of that, that's why it works so well. And you can test this with any type of other crystal. Here's a crystal. Here, I have so many crystals on my desk. And here's just, a chakra, plain old one with some amethyst and, different types of selenite probably in here, one of those chakra ones. It's not going to come on. See, it's not coming on. You
Yeah.
can use any and it doesn't come on because as much as you want to say, so many people say, oh, tourmaline and onyx, oh, they can all, neutralize radiation. No, they cannot. They can help ground you, but they're not going to do the same thing that shungite does. And it's really, really important for people to understand that there is a lot of fake shungite out there. So it's really important to buy from somebody who's reputable. There's a lot of companies from China. We're probably one of the largest distributors in the United States,
Mm.
and which is very exciting because
So
that
if
was one of
it's
my.
fake shungite, it won't close a circuit. Is that
Mm-mm,
like one way to test it?
that's the best way.
Ooh,
And the
interesting.
next way to test it is how, John, come on, you know it.
Muscle testing, right?
You got it. Muscle testing. So let's hear your story about muscle testing when we got together.
Sure. So when we met at Podfest, you were next to a table and you had your spread out, and I'm like, all right, cool. Let's see what's going on here. And I got a kick out of watching you do a muscle test with people. And if you're not familiar, it's like a balancing test. I think you did more the arm one, right?
We
Where
do the
you
arm.
you do the extended arm, and then without anything, you did it to me too. But I like describing other people because their faces before and after was
Right.
pretty funny. So
Mhm.
just imagine, I guess, in your mind's eye, and if you're, maybe I'll do it because we're on video. But let me get the chair out of the way. You're standing, and then you have like one arm. You have one arm off to the side, and then
Or in
Sherinata just
front.
leans like puts one hand on it, and then you're basically measuring the resistance. Your strength changes. And so without the Shungite, she put down, and she put some a good amount of pressure down, and I'm like, all right, I'm kind of struggling to keep my arm up. And then she gave, I think we put it in my hand.
Well, wait a minute. First, see, this is because first you want to test without anything. Make sure you take all your
Yeah.
electronics off.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
Okay, that's what's important. You take all your electronics off, make sure your cell phone's off, any smart watches, anything like that, any AirPods, take them off, strip the body of electronics. Then just shake your arms out. Put it out, put your arm out, have somebody just lightly press down. You don't have to it's not total muscle. It's just the innate and the innate energy of your body that knows what's right and what's wrong. Correct? Okay. So you're going to press lightly down on the arm. Okay. And have somebody do that for you. And you're going to say, oh, yeah, okay, I'm pretty strong. Now that's when you have them say,
Oh, then they
okay,
hold on to the cell phones and the electronics that they had. And then
exactly.
that's when their weakness kicked in. And that's where I saw eyeballs popping. They're like, no way. Because you can feel it. It's like you don't feel your body going to a different weak state because you're so used to having your cell phone on. And I just remember people's eyes just shooting open because they can feel the difference of like whether it be no cell phone in your pocket or after that having the Shungite, and just the difference is no one, everybody's like, all right, I'll humor the situation, but like the genuine shock was pretty funny to watch.
Yeah. And that's when I like to tell people, our technology literally is like kryptonite to Superman.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because, we don't understand, we don't feel it instantly, but yet it is crippling our bodies and we don't even realize how it is weakening our state and what it's doing to us every day. And it's going to compound that, like I said, compound that. So if you're weak in just that moment trying it on, and people don't even realize, it's like, okay, so then of course we would put this Shungite bracelet or the sticker on it, and they get to see how much stronger they are because that's neutralizing the radiation, right? So then all of a sudden I'm like, yep, okay, you got your powers back. Fantastic. You're healthy. You're here. But let's remember, if you're wearing a smartwatch, you're going to be receiving it in another way. If you insist on wearing, wireless AirPods, you're going to be receiving it right into your brain anyhow. So we need to think about what are you still doing? What else are you doing in your body and in your daily habits? So we don't really have anything yet to neutralize the AirPods, but we're working on something hopefully being released this year,
Ooh.
as well as we have something for the smartwatches.
Yeah, so the smartwatches I saw, you had it where it looks like a little. Is it a ring that goes around the? Well, describe what you have for smartwatches because virtually everybody has a smartwatch.
Yeah, I don't have a smartwatch. I only have the band, so if you're watching it on YouTube, you
Yeah.
can see my samples. But yeah, so we create these awesome. This one is just decorative, the top one here, but for the most part, all of our bands that we sell are have Shungite on them. And I have another one here that is really cute. Oops, I forgot to take out the package. And it has other colors on it. It has some purples and crystals on it too. So these are probably one of our largest sellers next to the stickers because everybody has a cell phone. And so many people are wearing the smartwatches and they
Yeah.
feel the difference.
And for anybody listening, and if you're not in a place where you're watching, just so you know what she's describing, it looks like if you're familiar with the little beads that go around your wrist, like the bracelets for the different like crystals and stuff, it looks like a teeny tiny one with teeny tiny little beads, and it just wraps around the band portion, so you can actually have an accessory on the band for your watch. And on top of, and would you say that makes more sense because it's closer to the watch instead of having a bead next to the watch? Like you can have like the bigger ones as well, right? It's just to each their own type of thing.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't like to wear, men don't want to wear a bracelet.
Mm.
A lot of women may not want to wear something else that's clunking against their watch. And guess what? Most people are going to put just like nobody leaves the house without their cell phone. Nobody leaves the house without their body parts, their arms and legs. Their cell phone is like that too. And so nobody's going to leave. If somebody's a smartwatch wearer, they're not going to leave without their smartwatch on. right? But they'll
Mm,
leave maybe without their bracelet on. So
that's
if
true.
these bands are always on the bracelet band, I mean, if the rings, the bands, what I call them, the bands are on the bands, but if you know what I mean, the rings that we call them bands. So if those Shungite bands are on the watch band, neutralizing it, you're never going to leave it home. You're not going to leave home without it. It'll always be there. And we also make them a little bit larger for the finger because if somebody is using a Bluetooth, if you're the type person like me, and which I do have EMF sensitivity, I'm very sensitive to hypersensitivity to electronics. So oftentimes I will feel like on a Bluetooth because I'm always in and out of my office, taking my laptop all over the place. So I actually do have a wireless Bluetooth mouse. And I will no matter what, I will have tinglies in my fingers just 5 to 10 minutes after using it. It's ridiculous. But because I wear the ring, which is elastic, it fits almost anybody's fingers, I never have the tingling because it neutralizes the
Oh.
radiation.
And the fact
Hmm.
that you're electrosensitive helps you make sure that it's working,
Yeah,
right?
I'm like a perfect barometer for my company.
Right.
You
And
know?
you're like, well, no,
If
that
I can
works.
feel it, then everybody's okay. If I can't feel it, you know what I'm saying?
That's so interesting. That's great that you can at least test it, right? Because it's easy to be like, this is BS. Well, until the day comes where you unfortunately become electrosensitive, and from what I've read, people that are electrosensitive tend to have either heavy metal toxicity or a traumatic experience with it. And I feel like for you, obviously you had a traumatic experience with your surgery and
Hmm.
everything. And I was gonna say, it
And I had the
reminds.
heavy metals. I did have the heavy metals
Oh, you
because
did.
look where I was working. I was working with that Wi-Fi router. That is creating literally the free radicals that are just attaching to all the cells in your body. And you can't cleanse your body when you're filled with free radicals in it. It's not going to happen. It's just like having heavy metal running through your entire body.
Yeah, yeah, and cleansing helps too. And then that goes down a different route because when you're going through certain cleanses, it if anything, it exposes your body to it, and it goes into the bloodstream when it's trying to come out of the body. So what you're doing now is really helping somebody that is very sensitive. That's what I was going to say. It reminds me of the analogy I have is, how people they drink a lot. Let's say you drink like a heavy night of like drinking alcohol,
Hmm.
and
Hangover.
yeah, the hangover, and like I'll never drink again. And then like for me, I went and drank a little bit too much way back in the day, and I think it was tequila. And I should have said no, and I said yes too many times. Let's just say that. And now my body has a hard time even smelling it. It's just rejecting it immediately. And
Hmm.
so I can only imagine if you had a traumatic experience, your body's going to do the same thing. For me, it's almost like I get dizzy and nauseous because your body is like, no, just no. And for you, when you get around electronics, your body's like PTSDing your home office that you used to have, and it's like,
Pretty
no,
much.
give her the tingles, like give her a reminder of how bad
Hmm.
it was. Do not do
Yeah.
this.
I know. And of course, I'm the type person. I'm like, don't put it anywhere on your body. Don't put it on your breast. Don't put it in your body. Make sure you're neutralizing. Get it away from your babies. Why are you putting it in your front of your babies? I am a little crazy over it but yet, guess what? I've been in the business for over 10 years now. And I've been working in muscle testing people. We're working with people, muscle testing people for over 10 years. So you can imagine how many people that is, like thousands of people, right? So you can see how many people have what the eyeballs popping out saying, wow, what's going on with me? I can't believe this. And yet on the other hand, it's ridiculous because I see how many people don't know. They don't understand. And the people that because I'm only talking to like this one little tiny section of people when there's thousands so many people all around and they have no clue in the restaurants and shopping and these all the babies just everybody growing up without this knowledge. And if you are a mother or a father, an aunt or an uncle, a grandmother or a grandfather, you must listen to this. And please, please, let the children be safe. Let those children be safe, and let the knowledge be heard that something needs to be done.
Yeah, well said. And
Mm-hmm.
it's very true. I mean, it's only getting more invasive with from tablets and cell phones and headsets and watches and great technology. It helps you stay connected, but there's a dark side that we need to be able to be informed on and be able to protect ourselves
Yeah,
from.
and
So I
and
appreciate.
and then yeah, exactly. And then okay, so it's important to be knowledgeable about it, but not to like I don't know if I'm extreme, but you know what? I still live my happy life. I don't like to be that person about doomsday about it. It's just like, listen, you know about it, so do something about it.
Hmm.
And that's it. Just be proactive and start living a little bit differently. And that's all it is. And it's just knowledge is power, right?
Yeah, yeah. So let's say if we are trying to, let's say someone's interested in learning a little bit more, right? Maybe they have a lot of questions and they wish they were here to be a fly on the wall and ask questions and whatnot. Um, and this is obviously pre-recorded. For any of those, how can they reach you? And more importantly, I think we're going to be helping out with a free ebook that will be in the show notes
Mm-hmm.
for sure. We were talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like, I think we were also talking about, yeah, we were definitely talking about if anybody's interested and they're concerned, or let's say they're sensitive or they really want to take action on this, we found a way to give a 10% discount if you want to order. And
Yes.
how does that work? I think you had a code set up, right? And I can just put in my description
Mm-hmm.
link.
Oh, definitely. Yes. So the code will be used, so it's 10% off your first order, and on regular price items. Not on the I also have like starter packs and variety packs, things that are bundled that are already have like 25 to 35% off already, so it can't be used in conjunction. So anything that's regular price, um, definitely, take advantage of that, through John's website for sure. I mean, through the podcast. And, and the best thing to do is to get started. I always say, people are like, where do I start? Where do I start? I said, the best thing to do is to just get started with a cell phone sticker, put cell phone sticker on, all your technology, on your cell
Like this
phone.
one.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. And I have a larger one too. That's for people who are really energy sensitive. Sometimes
Mm.
people put that on their cell phone once they do the muscle test because they're like, wait a minute, maybe the cell phone sticker is not enough for me, which
It's
most people
actually,
is,
I have to address this. If you're listening, there's some audio feedback when you put that sticker up to the camera. And
there
so if I
was.
can't get rid of that and post edit, that's why. That's crazy.
That is crazy. Gosh, I did hear that static and I didn't put two and two together, but it makes sense.
I'm like, wait a minute.
And
Okay,
then we
cool.
have, I'm just gonna do it really quick. The magnet.
Okay.
So that's in the variety pack, the starter pack. But so I always say wear something. It's really important to just get something for yourself. 10% off. Wear something, so that way you're protected wherever you are, and then put something on your electronics.
Got
And
it.
that's how you want to look at it. That's just the best way to get started. And then you can kind of rock and roll from there. The other thing is definitely take advantage of downloading the ebook. It is just dipping your toes in the water of simple ways to get started now that I call it EMF protection made simple. Easy steps to get started now because, face it, you got to start somewhere. So download the book, use the code. It's, you get it for free. It's a $20 value. And, um, and that'll help you. But if you just want to get started right now, use the code for the discounts for the products and then read the book after, because usually people say, I'm going to read the book, and then you kind of leave it in your, we're all famous for leaving in our email, never going back.
That's
So,
funny.
and then you follow me on social media, for sure on I'm more on Instagram, like pretty good on it, or if you need some in Facebook. So just reach out to me.
Got it. Okay, cool. Yeah, and then so as far as connecting with you, anybody listening, the the ebook, the discount link, and connecting with Sherinata will be all in the show notes. So don't worry about that. Thanks for coming on to the show. I'm hearing some feedback. I'm like, let me move my sticker out of the way. That's funny. Real world
It
scenario.
works. It
But yeah, thanks
works.
for coming on. I'm excited to just dive into this subject matter and play with. I'm gonna go to your site and check out the pyramids. Completely forgot you had pyramids. I can probably use one for my office too, and
So
just being
important.
mindful of that. But yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Yeah, anytime. I'm so happy to be here, and you have great content. It's very interesting. Love the podcast. So definitely going to share it out there for everybody else too.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's how we roll.